I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda, do you have any changes to it or?
We're gonna go. Need a motion to pass the agenda as listed?
Thank you. Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Chan and seconded by Vice Chair Rowland to approve the agenda as it stands. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. On to the consent agenda. Chief Hovis's vacation request and claim vouchers 13802 13873 totaling $1,084,759.49. It's been moved to approve the consent agenda. Moved by Vice Chair Rowland, seconded by Commissioner Chan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. On to public comment. Do we have any public comment online? Wasn't able to log in quick enough. Nobody? Okay. And do we have any public comment in the room? All right. On to fire chief's report.
Good evening, commissioners, liaison, if you're online, staff, guests and meeting attendees, commissioners, want to give an update on some retirements. So go to the first slide, please. Captain Mike Johnston is retiring from the RFA after 32 years of service. He joined the Linwood Fire Department in 1991 and was a longtime and original member of our Snohomish County Hazardous Materials team. He previously held the ranks of firefighter when he joined the organization, then also was a long-term acting battalion chief. And what Captain Johnston's most known for is his leadership and mentorship, especially of newer firefighters at Linwood Fire Department and also at our RFA. So we wish him a happy and healthy retirement. And we've got one more retirement to announce. And that is Medical Services Officer Gene Smith. Gene joined Fire District 11 in 1994, which gives him 29 years of service. He was previously a firefighter paramedic and also served as a captain. Gene Smith is really well known for his hard work with our ACT program when that started, high performance CPR, our EMS education in general, plus our Airway Academy. So he will be missed also for all of his contributions, and we wish him well and a happy and healthy retirement as well. So thank you for that. And we'll go on to one more update that's about promotions. We can go to the next slide, please. Commissioners, with the two retirements I just noted, I'm proud to announce that firefighter Pat Moore will be promoted to the rank of captain effective July 1st. He's a former member of Fire District 1 that lateraled to us from Chelan County. So congratulations, firefighter Pat Moore. Effective July 1st, he'll be a captain. And we can go to the next slide. Firefighter paramedic Joe Simmons, also a former member of Fire District 1, will be promoted to the rank of Medical Services Officer, and that's also effective July 1st. He has been with our department a little bit over a decade. So with that, congratulations to Pat and Joe, and we look forward to your future contributions to the organization in your new roles. And one more item, I'm going to turn over that to AC Eastman to discuss a meeting that happened today regarding fireworks. Bob?
Thanks, Chief. A quick update, the ordinance to ban the sale of fireworks in the Southwest urban growth area made it to committee. They had a committee meeting today at 11 o'clock. And it was their planning and I don't know what the full name of the committee is. It was a planning, the planning committee. It's comprised of all 5 county council folks. There was several things on the agenda. We were towards the end. They had some discussion on The ordinance did not come out of committee. The ordinance is going to stay in committee for another month. They'll meet again in July, on the 18th. Staff will be in attendance. They wanted a little bit of data, and data from is going to be a little bit hard to come by. I think they've acknowledged that. But we're going to have another meeting in the 18th of July. And the council is going to have a little bit more discussion in the committee before it goes before the general session to get a public hearing, and before they consider any action on it. To be honest, the timeline, they weren't going to get it before the council and approved prior to the 4th of July this year. So having it extended doesn't actually delay anything that we talked about before. We anticipate that it'll follow the 12-month rule as a state, because it's more stringent than state law. When they act, and I'm going to be positive with this, when they actually pass the sale or the ordinance to ban the sale, won't be effective until July of 2025. And I think we talked about that previously. There was some conversations that there's a potential that because they're adding this to the ban of discharge, that they may not have to do the 12-month wait, and it could be effective immediately. There'll be more to come on that. I think from our perspective and talking to Rich Davis just briefly about the topic as a sidebar, we anticipate that the ordinance, when passed, won't take effect until July of 25, which is what we originally talked about. So staff will continue to monitor. Staff will work with the council's staff to help with information if we have information to give to their staff to present to council on the 18th of July, and we'll give you an update after that meeting. And hopefully what will happen is it'll come out, go before general session to get a public hearing. And then after that, hopefully they'll take action to put the ordinance in place and ban the sale. So that's the update on the fireworks ban.
The answer to your question was that it was the Planning and Community Development Committee.
Quick question.
Yes. Vice Chair Rowland.
Was there any discussion on progress on possession, or is this just limited to just sales right at
It's just so the ordinance is very, very clean. It changes I think it affects 2 sentences in the original ordinance, I think. And my understanding is it just bans the sale, has nothing to do with possession at this time.
Gotcha. Have they started that discussion? I know we kind of reached it, but
So I know in the original conversation we had with Councilwoman Dunn and Strom Peterson's aide or legislative assistant Joshua, they were talking about it, and they were going to have conversations with the sheriff.
Okay.
And so we did not have a meeting formally with our agency, the sheriff, and those 2 council folks. As of right now, the only thing that the ordinance is it bans the sale, does not ban possession as it sits right now.
gotcha. So the police would still have to witness someone discharging the firework itself to be able to take any action.
I would assume that hasn't changed. That wouldn't change from what it is today, based on my understanding. Now they did, I guess I'll say this, they did bring up, they had a person speak from Tukwila area and talked about an alternative, which was to ban the sale of fireworks that basically go up in the air and allow the sale and the discharge of fireworks that stay on the ground. So the ones that like fountain, sparkle, and those kind of things. We have a meeting with Strom Peterson's office on Thursday. I'm sure that'll be part of the conversation. I think from our perspective, we like the ban of discharge as it sits today, and not open that back up and let the creep happen where we get back to where people are shooting off all fireworks. But we're having that conversation at the request of Strom Peterson's office. We'll do that on Thursday. And if it's appropriate to brief you, we'll brief at the first meeting in July about that. Otherwise, we'll go to the meeting on the 18th of July. And hopefully help have the county council staff get some of the information they need. Some of it we do have, some of it we have collected. I don't think the sheriff office has collected data like we have, and I don't think the fire marshal's office at the county has. And so we've offered that, and Leslie's our point of contact with their staff, and we'll work to make sure that if we have information that's valuable for the county to incorporate in the discussion, we'll do that, and we'll let you know what happens after the 18th.
Gotcha. Just personal opinion here is that it seems kind of odd to just restrict the aerials. I mean, I know that 85% of what we do is EMS. And it seems like the ones that are going to cause the most injuries are going to be the ones that are really close to you. Not saying that an aerial can't get you if you're standing over it or something like that, but I think the council would be well advised to take into consideration the human toll and lost fingers and things like that when they make the decision.
We're right there with you.
Commissioner Chan, you have your hand up.
Yeah, so is that appropriate? So I have a lot of contact with support group people. So is that appropriate to get regular citizens support group to show up on the 18th?
So there were several that actually spoke in public comment today. Leslie knows the people better than I do.
Right.
The names, my guess, Commissioner Chan, you would recognize the
Yes.
majority of the folks that spoke. I guess I'll talk to Leslie and get back to you to see what that is. And I think after we talk to Strom Peterson's office on Thursday, the committees, they're fairly low. I mean, it was fairly low key.
Right.
Most of the comments were on the fireworks ordinance, to be quite frank, all of them were. And so I don't know if the committees, when you have that conversation, or if we make sure when the ordinance is being heard in the public hearing or during general council session, that's maybe in a more appropriate time for that conversation to happen, for folks to either support or non-support the ordinance. My gut tells me that's the more appropriate time,
Right,
versus the committee time. But if we get something different from Mr. Peterson's office, we'll make sure we let you know and mobilize appropriately. So.
well, I mean, it's always, even you don't speak, just being people showing up, that will give them, some guidance in here. I completely agree with Commissioner Rowland in here, because we don't want to because even on the ground, you still have the noise and all that, right? Still affecting, and it's very difficult. I mean, I don't want the law to become ordinance to be separate into detail and how was, I would support the whole thing, Ben, nothing to separate the whole thing. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Chief Hovis and Chief Eastman, for the report.
Yeah, you're welcome. And just in closing, commissioners, you'll receive a copy of our incident action plan, or IAP. Chief Isotelo and Chief Chalfon will make sure that you'll have a full copy of that before we get to the 4th of July. The plan is at this point in the fire chief's report to report back on any generally conditions during the 4th of July at our July 5th meeting, and to have a full presentation on July 18th of what the 4th of July period looked like for us. And as far as our responses go, data, injuries, et cetera. Okay. And with that, that closes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Chan, you should have your hand up.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you got, okay, I just want to again emphasize that I would.
Microphone.
Should be automatic, right? I speak and activate that. I just want to make sure that I really like to, if I need to motion, I will make it on the next, in July, the work session. I like to see the report of the dashboard report. It's kind of, to me, I haven't seen the dashboard for a while. It's kind of like driving without knowing. I mean, if I drive a car, I cannot work without my dashboard, right? So same as here, because especially I want to respond time and also mutual aid and how that work, how it's been affecting. So that kind of give me the idea on the capital facility plan and any other budget wise. That were really important. Hope that, is that going to be possible?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Chan. I spoke with the chair about bringing that back July 11th, I believe is where we've got that penciled in right now to bring that back for to discuss it and talk through the program itself and the intricacies of it. So,
I just want to make sure you're committed to that. Okay, thank you.
okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'm a Power BI developer, so of course I'm committed to it. Commissioner Kenny.
I would just follow up on Commissioner Chan's comment and say, yeah, I would like to see a dashboard report for the first 6 months of the year and all the data, but not just like Commissioner Kenny go off and look at some data. Rather, I prefer the discussion here because it's a more informed discussion that we can then ask some questions of you, the experts, to get a little flavor for what's happening based on particularly what we've seen in the past. But what I really wanted to ask was, Chief, can you give an update on, so what are the plans for 4th of July? Because this is our last meeting before the 4th. Like in terms of what's the deployment plan for the sheriff's office and the deputies. And, I don't necessarily need what's in your, what will come out in the incident action plan, like the day or two before the 4th, but kind of, can you give the kind of the overall picture of what's happening for the 4th and maybe the weekend before that's involved?
I'll let Chief Eastman, who's been working with SCSO, talk about the deputy part of it. And then if you need nothing on the IAP part of it at this point, the operational part of it.
Well, I mean, if there's anything you want to say.
Okay, so I'll let Chief Eastman go first. There you go.
So Chief, I'm not sure where Leslie, Todd and Shawnery are at with exactly where they're at with the sheriff. I know we talked about starting on the Friday before the 4th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Shawnery, Leslie and Chief Anderson, we're going to go look at historical data and work with I'm gonna butcher his name. The lieutenant at the sheriff's office that we've been working with to get things scheduled. I know those conversations have happened. I don't know if they've got all those shifts filled yet or not. But they were looking at obviously the 4th of July. And then they were looking at information to see, should we do Monday? They were looking at weather. I mean, they were looking at several things to determine where they were at with it. And I don't know exactly where they landed or where they landed with the sheriff's office as far as getting folks to sign up to actually do the work. So if it is okay with the board, once we get that finalized, is that something that would be okay to just email with, here's the days that the sheriff's office is going to be here? They were still talking, do we have 1 crew, 2 crew, 3 crew? I mean, they were working on several different variations of how to best utilize the dollars that we've have approved to actually, have a presence to enforce the discharge ban. And they were still working through that the last I talked to them. So I don't have exact details yet.
Okay.
As far as the operational components, pretty consistent with what we've done the past 3 years, which is keeping the peak activity units up until midnight, and they can stay over longer depending on how busy the night is, and then put up to 2 fire engines on duty as well for up to the midnight time period, but it can go afterwards because usually fireworks are going off till 2, 3 in the morning. So it really, we let the ops handle that and our battalion chiefs and just really the spirit of the day, if you will, right? Depending on the weather and everything else. So hopefully we've had good luck with really that type of response. We've gone as high as 3 fire engines and haven't needed that source of response. Fortunately for us, our other partners are upstaffing at the same time, or automatic aid partners. So that's nice to be able to do that. And that we, as you know, we're setting the closest unit to whatever the emergency is. So we've been successful thus far with that plan. And Chief, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just add, typically we staff the brush truck as well for that event for that evening. And then there'll be a few of us chiefs out as well until things slow down, just to give extra support.
I was just curious, I think last year, no, maybe it's 2 years ago was the first time that I saw these large construction signs out. Maybe just because it was in my neighborhood, it was most prominent, but there might have been one other. I was curious if there were going to be any of the construction signs out this year.
I think they actually came from Snohomish County Public Works, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, that's correct. And Shawnery has that within her plan. That'll be also within the incident action plan to utilize those again, because they're great. They're great.
They're very prominent.
They are. They are.
Great, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I get an update from Leslie before the meeting's over, I'll let you guys know I know. And if the chair lets me, I'll give you the update as I get it.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I'll take that under consideration, Chief Eastman. Commissioner Chan, you still have your hand up.
Yeah, we'll just leave it on. The 4th of July on Thursday. So most likely, the weekend, a lot of people are starting the firework, right? I assume. So I'm really hoping, that's the whole thing, hopefully they catch someone and write a ticket or something, and then get on the news, on the newspaper or something. That's the whole reason when we first started, we wanted sheriff to enforce it. So I'm hoping that they will start in the weekend. So that effect, I think that will give a warning to the public that we're serious about this. So is that?
Yeah, that's kind of what we're anticipating, is that Friday is when it's really going to start. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, that
Right.
time period is really going to be the bulk. And then people still like to shoot them off. It seems like on the 5th, and by the 6th, it calms down.
I'm hoping they not, I know a couple of years that they have been doing this warning. I really, hopefully they can at least, write up as something in there. So that's my wish. The second thing is that you did not say about the Edmund, the parade. Is that still going on? And do we need to let you know now, want to participate, and how's it work?
The parade is still happening. Yeah. And as far as participation goes, we can talk to Leslie about that if
Okay.
that's something that needs to happen. I don't know how that works with the chamber that puts that on or not. So that's kind of
I'm
outside
riding on my truck. I'm not.
outside of our purview. Yeah, we'll be participating.
Right. So is it okay for me to ride in the truck? Or actually last year, what I did is that hanging out candy.
Mm.
I mean,
It's fun to ride in the truck.
so what?
I said it's fun to ride in the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more fun to hang out candy too when you see
Yeah.
I'll contact Leslie. I just
Okay.
make sure you don't have any other changing the rule and stuff like that. Okay.
No, I think either way could be acceptable. So
Okay.
our crews would be out of service and we go first in the parade, which is
Right.
nice to be able to do that.
Yep.
So, okay.
I think the only caveat is that I know with chatting with Greg a while ago that those that are up for election can't participate. So 3 of us, the commissioners that are up for election this year, wouldn't be able to participate with the fire department in the parade.
I disagree with that, but I definitely understand that. Yeah. And that was, yeah. Anyway, okay.
So I think that's the only changing of the rules that would be applied.
Okay.
Any other? Mr. Kenny?
Yeah, I guess I would just comment that I disagree.
Yeah.
I think that all the commissioners, as long as you're not wearing like campaign garb or carrying a sign, vote for me or
That's
something.
the
you-
chamber.
Well, the chamber's never going to know if you're sitting in the fire truck waving at people in your capacity as a fire commissioner. So, Chair Urban's no longer here and he's no longer the
Yeah.
part of the Chamber of Commerce. So, I don't know. I think we should follow better advice and not have that type of restriction, because that bleeds out in lots of different bad ways. And it's not like you're actively campaigning, or if you have your own campaign and you're going to have your own float in the parade or something, of course, you're separate and you got to pay. But, if you're there in your capacity as a fire commissioner, riding in the truck, not wearing any campaign thing, but wearing, South County Fire, you're a fire commissioner,
Well,
you should be able to do that.
So you're advocating
my-
to break the rules.
no, actually not, that's not.
That's obey the
They cannot-
PDC
Okay,
rules.
they cannot put on the rules on people. I had never seen any incumbent congressman take the badges off, right? They still go on activity, whatever they do as a congressman. They don't stop being a congressman just because of an election, right? To me, that isn't, chamber
But they're
cannot put a
riding
rule on
with
us.
but they're not riding with the fire department. They're doing their own thing, right?
No, but, yeah, but you still a commissioner. You're a commissioner until 12/31, right? So you cannot stop, being a commissioner.
These aren't my rules, so you're more than happy to take them up. with the
No,
chair.
but I'm saying that I don't think Commission, Chair Urban enforce the law. I think there's a conflict of interest on both sides. And I don't think that is the law they can. I don't think the Chamber of Commerce can tell us what to wear, how to wear it, how to do it, who been on the truck. That's our truck, right? So.
I'll let you take that up with them. They're their rules. It's not a law, it's their
I
rules.
think I even need to take it up to them. They cannot have the rules on a sub-county fire vehicle, period.
You're entitled to your opinion.
No, okay.
All right, on to the union report with President Moore.
Good evening, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Good evening.
All right. Just tonight, wanted to let you know we've got several of our board members over actually in Wenatchee at a conference right now. And with that too, want to congratulate all of our retirees on their recent retirements. So there's some big shoes to fill. Both very, very amazing people, well respected within the organization. I think as Chief Ovis had put it. And so wish them well on their retirement. Outside of that, though, we've been right now, biggest thing right now that we're working on outside of some labor stuff and whatnot is the PFAS chemicals in the gears and whatnot. And so we're just working with trying to find some solutions. We recently obviously came back with a preliminary study that showed it in our uniforms as well. And so we're just kind of exploring to figure out how bad a problem that is and what alternatives are out there potentially to look like to minimize our exposure to those chemicals. So with that, I think that probably concludes my report on what I have to give you guys tonight. Unless you have any questions for me, be happy to answer.
Questions, gentlemen? Go ahead, Vice Chair Rowland.
Just wanted to know if you heard back anything from the production company that put on that movie, that documentary Burned about the PFAS, about doing a screening. I know I had reached out to them and they were kind of overwhelmed at the time. I didn't know if they've touched base with you.
I have a copy of it. We paid for it. And it was something I was actually considering. I didn't know how you guys would want to do that. We had considered maybe if it was a possibility of having it potentially even at one of the board meetings. It's about a 10-minute video. I don't know if that's something you guys would want or entertain, or if you want them individually, but we are definitely doing some screenings. And if need be to, we could even potentially invite you if you're curious about it.
I'd be curious.
Yeah, I think 10 minutes at a meeting wouldn't be too much, just for us to all be on the same page if we're going to be discussing these issues to understand some of the facts behind it. So
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Anyone else? Well, congratulate. Oh, Commissioner Teoflat, go ahead.
Yeah, you're going to say what I said. Congrats on the promotion.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Got off easy tonight, President Moore. Have fun there at Wenatchee.
Thank you.
On to unfinished business. The resolution authorizing issuance of warrants for action tonight. So what we're doing is this resolution going back to March 20th, if there's any March 20th of 2020, if there's any warrants outstanding, to allow the chair to go ahead and sign for those, just to tidy up the books. And going forward for warrants, once they've been approved by the commission, to go ahead and allow just the chair to sign it. That way they can be signed in a timely fashion instead of trying to get all 7 commissioners to sign it. Is there any further discussion, or are we ready to take action tonight?
Because I only got 4 people here. I guess I'm gonna do all the work in there, right? I'll make a motion to pass the agenda bill. Adopt the resolution 620202
Commissioner Chan, can you turn your microphone on?
Yeah. I make a motion to adopt the resolution. 0620202319, authorize the one by the subcounty fire and be signed by the chair.
It's been moved to adopt the resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Lawrence. Any further discussion? Vice Chair Rowland?
I just want to reiterate that I don't believe that this is a necessary step. I think that there are some tools that we could definitely improve when it comes to collecting signatures, but for these type of expenditures as large as they are, and the just in the interest of the public and the interest of security and safety and to prevent any sort of abuse, not necessarily by the current chair or anyone in the staff, but just I think that this is one signature on such a large document. Even though we say it needs to be approved, we don't get many meeting minutes for often a month or a month and a half until after the meeting. So we don't even know if they're accurate or not sometimes from our own memory. So I think that this is not really that necessary, and I will be voting no.
Anyone else? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right. Ayes have it. On to the 2024 budget development calendar for action with CFO Bothwell.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. Last week, we brought you a draft budget development calendar for the 2024 budget. You requested a few changes, and so we made those changes, and there's an updated draft in your packet. The following changes were made. We changed the presentation of the chief's preliminary budget from October 10th, moved that back to October 3rd, which will allow an extra week for your budget deliberations. We also added an optional special meeting for October 24th. That's not currently a scheduled meeting, but it is an option on the calendar. And then the third item was to correct the dates for the November meetings. All three meetings were represented in the calendar, but the dates were incorrect. And so those have been fixed. And we are looking for you to consider action tonight. I'm happy to take any questions.
Excuse me, Commissioner Kenny.
Yes, Mr. Bothwell, question for you. The calendar looks better with the changes from last week, but I did wonder about the period of time, particularly the 3 regular meetings of September. And I guess I'd throw in maybe the last regular meeting of August. That seems like valuable prep time potentially to be talking to the board about particular issues. My recollection from this past year, though my recollection may be a little hazy, you might be able to help me, is that we did talk about defined programs, departments during that period of time. But I don't see anything listed on the calendar for like that this year. How is that time going to be? The September regular meetings, maybe the last meeting of August, are they going to be used in any capacity for budget?
Not with this calendar. So last year we didn't do division presentations to the board at any point where we say, this is what we do. It was just the presentation of the decision packages that were developed by divisions. And so the feedback we got last year, we did that, I think, in 3 or 4 meetings where those were presented. And we got feedback that those meetings had gone too long. And so those are in the special meeting on the 22nd of September. They're all going to be done in one special meeting. And so it frees up those other meetings, but there's really, there's nothing scheduled for that budget related. That'll just be normal kind of business.
The September 22nd was decided
It's a Friday.
because everybody
Special, yeah.
schedules.
Yeah. Well, I think we may be missing an opportunity to use some of that space or time for budget. I'm not opposed to having, in fact, I believe I was advocating here at multiple meetings for that special, that workshop meeting in September. That has historically been a useful meeting in dealing with the budget. But it seems like there's an opportunity to take advantage of some of that time to talk about budget also. So I would just offer that as an observation.
Thank you.
Maybe, I think this is not gonna cast in stone, even approve it. I think it depends how we progress, maybe. I think you guys up to that, right? We want to add one more session, whatever. If the board agree, I think we should do that. And,
Yeah, the board chair is in control of the agenda, so
well, not the board chair, the board,
well,
the majority of the board.
yes, we'll
Yeah.
schedule what the majority of the board wants,
Yeah.
for sure.
To me, we got to talk about the issues, not because of length of time. We don't want to spend that much of time to be a commissioner. You really need to dedicate the issue. If the issue is not resolved, we have to take time, extra time to resolve it. So,
Can these issues be vetted through the finance committee?
so what?
Can these issues be vetted through the finance
Yeah, it was
committee?
vetted by finance committee, but still finance committee to present the whole thing to the board to approve. So if some board member really needs some questions or needs some time to ask a question, I think we should allow that. And not, I don't believe that we're 2 hours for the meeting, that's it. You know, if issue is not resolved, we need to spend extra time for it. That's my suggestion. And I think we can still change it, right?
Commissioner Kenny?
So we haven't had any division reports from the chief or the staff throughout the year. It looks like, at least based on my informal observation of the upcoming calendar, we're not going to. So that leaves us with effectively on Friday, September 22, having presentations from departments with budget requests, which will also bleed into, so what are you doing? So what's going on? What's you're thinking about for next year for each of these departments, which will take more time. I think that is, it's kind of dual purpose. That's just kind of the way it'll shake out though, because we haven't talked about these departments. And I think that is a deficit because we're not using our time perhaps as well as we could. But I do see an opportunity in the current calendar for that time in September to be used to access, to have more time to talk about these different departments, which might make some sense because you're going to have that dual questioning anyways, you know, like mapping. Well, what's going on in mapping? Well, what do we, you know, where's the technology in mapping going besides just what's the cost for next year in the budget, or EMS or PIO, or, you know, I can name the various departments and have great conversation about it. But, you know, the focus will be budget, but there'll be other conversation. And I don't know that we'll thoroughly take care of that on September 22nd. And then we turn right around into the first meeting of October and we're with the chief's budget. So it might work out. It might work out. I'm just seeing, you know, not as much time perhaps as we've used in the past. And we could get backed up on budget and we might not be starting off on the best foot. So
You want to make a?
Vice Chair Rose, you have your hand up.
Okay,
I was just going to say, maybe a suggestion would be, we've got 3 work sessions between then and now. If we had 10-minute or 5-minute or whatever we want to set, I don't know how many departments there are that you would need to present just a status update, a pure status update, no long questioning, just they give the presentation and then we can either follow up with individual questions, or we can be prepared for what they're going to bring forward later. That might be a way to get ahead of it.
well, there's always questions. You're never going to get away from questions, but that is an alternative, another way to get at the issue and do it a little bit more over time, shall we say?
Is there a particular top 3 or 5 departments that are
I don't think we know.
concerned?
I don't think we know at this point what departments are going to be making asks that could be pertinent. If that was your intent.
It's really all departments. Because like I mentioned, mapping, small, many people may not know that we do mapping. Some people might be really interested in mapping and what the future of mapping is, but it kind of depends on the interest of the commissioners at the time. And sometimes it's like, there's no questions, and other times it's lots of questions. And that's just when it's the lots of questions scenario, it burns time. And that's why if you back yourself up and don't have the time, that's where it can get a little problematic. That's just my observation.
Commissioner Chan, you indicated you want to say something.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask Commissioner Kennedy to make a friendly amendment. I understand exactly what he's saying. That traditionally, we have been doing that so many years. That every year, the department come and tell us what's going on. Even though we've been there so many times, we always want to hear something new and everything else. Especially now in this board right now, we have, 3 commissioners, just brand new. I think they would be interested to know about all that too. I don't know, understand, right? Do you want to make a friendly amendment, say, add one more day on, say, September 12th?
How
Is that-
about,
is that- yeah.
how about just some department reports
Department
in
of-
September,
So,
in September
well,
regular
why-
meetings?
Why don't we say minute at the September 12th into their calendar, so they're much cleaner.
What is September 12th?
Is a work session.
Before we make a motion, maybe we should just ask staff what their opinions are. Chief, what do you think about this? Do you think we have the time? How many would it take? How long would it take? Just kind of estimates and thoughts.
2 comments. One, I'm glad we're having a budget workshop because we haven't had one in some of the past years. So I'm encouraged by that. 2, I don't have the discretionary budget requests, so it's really hard to know what departments or divisions are going to be upfront and forward. And it would be helpful to know that before we figure out the timing. I'm hearing what Commissioner Kenny's saying, having sat through many all-day Friday budget workshops. It really depends on how many asks we have. It also depends on commissioner questions. So I'm not trying to dance around the questions, but that's my answer.
Would you know more at the first meeting in August?
Certainly,
Would you know more at a time period before that?
possibly.
Commissioner Kenny?
Well, I'd just like to see the chief use those 3 regular September meetings to do some division reports with, at that point, my guess is there'll be a better idea on budget with some, budget asks or budget information.
How about
To me,
we
that sounds the best.
ask the chief to get back to this question at the first August meeting? And then from there, we can make a motion.
That sounds okay. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to give staff enough time to put their stuff together and for him to kind of lick his finger and test the wind, get a pulse of what's going on. And also recognizing what you're suggesting.
Right. And there's plenty of lead time here, or at least there's some lead time before September.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wait till the first meeting of August for the chief's input. I think an opportune time for you to do that would be at the end of your report. Before we get into new and unfinished business.
So you want me to withdraw my motion?
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Your friendly amendment was to just kind of a conversation.
I interpret it as a conversation.
Was there a motion?
Yeah, there was a motion.
Oh, I didn't know there was a motion.
Definitely wasn't seconded, so I think we can let it.
Do we want to hold off on the motion? Is that what?
I didn't realize there was a motion.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was a motion.
Well, I just did. I thought there was a motion to do it, but, well, I'm going to withdraw my motion, but I want to emphasize that the budget process is the commissioner need to approve. So I think I understand the staff, a lot of work and everything else, but
We as a commission agreed to do a 1-day budget process and we're a few months out and you're.
okay, what I'm discussing is that we commission need information. Is the commissioner get to the leadership, what kind of information we need and accommodate enough time. So I think Commissioner Kenny addressed the issues very well. So anyway, so we will strike up. I'm going to withdraw my motion. So we're not going to pass the counter motion, right? All right.
We can still pass it and then amend it on the first meeting of August. Because all that we're gonna do is we're gonna ask for division reports and get that, so that doesn't really impact this calendar. And again, in August, we can still amend the calendar.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can amend anytime. We don't need to.
So we can just get this as a blueprint going forward, recognizing that there's a chance that it could be changed.
I move that we approve the proposed calendar as presented.
I thought I
It's been
did.
moved by Vice Chair Rowland to approve the calendar as it's been presented and seconded by Commissioner Teoflag. Is there any further discussion?
So are we going to come back on this? What did we say at the first meeting of August to talk about?
Timelines and division reports.
That sounds good.
All right. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Ayes have it. Thank you. On to item C, amendment of South County Fire and Rescue Regional Fire Authority plan for discussion with AC Eastman.
Good evening again. If you turn to page 42 of your packet, you'll see the agenda bill. If you recall, during the process of approving the annexation, the plan amendment to allow prior to annex in, and then the amended plan that you guys approved to allow Montlake Terrace to annex in. We talked about if both were successful, that we'd have to merge those together to create our new plan. The draft you have in your packet is shown with track changes. And it was actually done by Richard Davis to incorporate what was changed in the Breyer plan and then what was changed in the Montlake Terrace plan to combine those into what will be our new plan once the board approves. And then in the back of that, the last page, you'll see the resolution that's associated with approving the amended and restated plan. And so we've had the conversation that the board was going to need to take this action up. You see the draft of the amended and restated plan, which incorporates both Breyer and the city of Montlake Terrace together into the plan. And if there's any questions, staff will take those. And if there's not any questions, staff will bring forward a clean copy of the plan, a clean resolution for the board to take action on at a meeting in the future. Commissioner Rowland.
Simple question. A couple of months ago, you presented to us two different drafted plans, depending on which one went through. This is a merging of the two, is my understanding.
Correct.
Are there any substantive changes in any of the content that was present in those separate documents that is now in this new one? Or would you say that all of those changes are present in the current document? They're just, again, merged together.
I would say that's the case, and there may, and I'll go back and review. Richard sometimes goes in and takes out stuff that's not absolutely relevant anymore and deletes it. But for the most part, it is truly just merging the Breyer amended plan and the Terrace amendment, like you said. And what you're seeing is those two coming together into to create the new plan.
All right, if you could do that and just let us know if there's any specific things that differ from what we've seen before, that'll help us to at least focus on the things that we already know versus the things that are new.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Liaison Todd, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I hit Chief Eastman with this just right before the meeting, so I'm going to ask it again in front of everybody. So section 4A1 is in terms, it says the boundaries are generally depicted as on a map. It's talking about the boundaries of the RFA. And then section 2 says the RFA is also responsible for providing services to the following jurisdictions via reference to interlocal agreements. My question is it the right time to take out 4A, 2.1, A or B and C, which are the city of Montlake Terrace interlocal and the city of Breyer interlocal? I would think you drop those out.
Slow down. What were those again?
Oh,
4A.
4A is about jurisdictional boundaries. Paragraph 2 says it's all, RFA is also responsible for providing services under various interlocal agreements. And I think you would drop out the ones for Montlake Terrace, which are B, and City of Breyer C. That's
Page are
question
you-
from
What
Rich.
page are you operating on?
Yeah.
That is
Thank
page, 52 of 106.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry.
Looks like a little house cleaning.
Yeah, the admins, see the admins.
So I'll ask Richard about that. I know, like you see in there, the Mukilteo agreement was part when we first created the RFA. The Mukilteo agreement's still in there, and he's chose not to remove that when we created the RFA, when that went away, when we brought in Mill Creek. So I'll ask him why we haven't changed it. My gut tells me this is basically how the original formation of the RFA was formed. And if you look at the subsequent changes, geographical boundaries, you'll see a section for now the city of Mill Creek annexing in a section for the city of Briar, a section for the city of Montlake Terrace, which is how he brought those cities that annexed it into the plan. And so I'll ask why and I'll report that back when we bring it forward, because I know we've not messed with that language in every time we've amended the plan. I'll get a response from legal, and if we bring this back before you the first meeting of July, which would be what I would anticipate, Richard will be here to actually be able to, or his representative will be able to hear it and tell you his rationale in person of why that is. So I'll get that clarification, and honestly, if that's something that where he can make those changes, we'll make those changes in the final RFA plan coming forward to the board, take action, and we'll make that very clear when we talk about it prior to the board taking any action.
Yeah, thank you. It just seemed like at some point the housekeeping makes some sense, and I went through very carefully for Commissioner Rowland's standpoint. I went through very carefully. It looks like mostly these are indeed what you saw before, but the tense is changed to say they did adopt this, and therefore they're going to be a part of the RFA come August 1st, 2023. So there are dates that are contemporary with the document. There's also dates that are go way back to when it was first formed. So I don't know how long you carry the past and when you come up to the kind of current conditions of state going forward. So just probably doesn't matter either way. It's just an opportunity. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Just one curiosity question, and that is the organizational structure. I know that we did make some changes. Did that get updated to reflect the new titles and people?
Yep.
Because it's small.
When I actually I'll swing it on its side like the other one was to make it a little bit bigger.
Right.
I wanted to put it's for some reason when I play with PDFs and put in Word, it doesn't go well for me. So I'll have Susan help me with it, but I'll put it so it's
fine.
up and down so you can actually read it like we did the other one. But that is the current org chart.
Yeah, I know the language in there basically allows the chief to make amendments to that or change the org chart from time to time. I just didn't know if the newer kind of paradigm was in there. So thank you.
So with this document, the staff would like to be able to bring this forward to the first meeting in July for board to consider action, if that's okay.
I don't see any reason why not. Anybody else?
Sounds good.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. I just have one question for our legal, and that is that with them being onboarded fully into the RFA, do we need to start redistricting again? And what that timeline looks like?
You will have to redistrict prior to the next time we go out for elections. So the elections that are currently in place will stay, but you'll have to have the districts redrawn prior to May of 25, when the next round of commissioners potentially up for election.
Okay.
So they know what district they're in when they want to put their name in the hat for candidacy. So I think staff would recommend that at some point in time in the not too distant future, and I would say probably, maybe after the first of the year, that we move forward and do it when there's not huge things on the horizon and we're not have people actually running for office and all that at the time. Give you time to, give our consultant time to do that work and enough time, because this will be another, 36,000 people roughly, and there'll probably be some changes and the consultant's probably going to need a little bit of time to do what he's done, and for the board to review like you did the last time and get enough time to get these set how you want them. So I think staff, and I'm looking at Melissa, would recommend doing something around the first of the year and move that forward, depending on the consultant's time frame.
Fair enough. Thank you.
That's fine.
All right. Thank you for that. On to item D, the IT data center move to Snohomish County for action. With IT manager Chris, if he's here, otherwise.
I think Chris is actually on vacation, so I'm stepping in for
Okay.
Chris. Why he's out of the office. Page 78 is the agenda bill. And this one is actually dealing with the migration from the colo that we have in Linwood to Snohomish County. I do know, I talked to Chris last week before he left. And he did talk to other folks that use the cities that use the county for their data center. And the report he got back from them, they're very satisfied. I know there's a question with regards to redundancy and backups. The redundancy at the county is equivalent or more than what we had at the colo location. And as you know, it's a 5-year commitment, and Chris sees about $10,000 a year reduction in the cost we have for co-locating our servers with the county. And so, and I know there were some conversations, and I don't know if it was on this topic or dark fiber that he had with individual commissioners with regards to some of the questions they had at the last meeting. So I'm hoping that had happened. And as we bring this forward, staff is looking for authority for chief to sign the ILA with the county. It's budgeted so we can get the migration from the colo location in Linwood to the county. And the other reason, I think we talked about this, is with 911 already having their stuff at the county, it makes it quicker for us as we move forward with I'm going to say internet IP-based notification of our stations, i.e. locution. It connects us with 911 in a better way and takes some pieces out of the mix. And I don't know technically what that means, but it will give us a higher reliability, is my understanding of locating or notifying our crews via locution in the internet. And that's one of the primary reasons for the move to 911, along with the fact that it's actually less money annually for us at the end of the day. So I'd be happy to take any questions if I can answer them. And other than that, staff's looking for authority for chief to sign ILA so we can make the migration happen.
Any discussion on the move to Snohomish County for the IT data center? Vice Chair Rowland?
Just one observation that I thought was kind of, I guess, crazy, is internet access. The rate that they're charging us for internet access is astonishing. $434 a month for 31 megabits. Standard residential service, a gigabit is like $80 a month. I know that there are, increased costs with business lines and increased reliability, but that number seems a bit excessive. Having worked in the IT industry, it just seems off out of all these things. I don't know the last time that they set these prices, but I'd like to know that. Just in passing, regardless of whether this goes through or not, it seems like that is an area where they're going to be making a lot of money providing it, as opposed to, everything else, and that's a recurring cost. So it's the one thing that I saw that was definitely a concern.
Anyone else? So the way this agenda bill is written is that it's for continued discussion. Are you looking for action?
No, I think
Any recommendations?
staff's actually looking for approval for chief to sign the ILA tonight.
All right. Chair would like to entertain a motion to approve the approval of a proposed ILA and work order with the Snohomish County Department of Information and Technology.
So be it.
Been moved by Commissioner Lawrence. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh, seconded by Commissioner Farnohoff. Any further discussion? None appearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
On to agenda item 8E. Discussion of dark fiber services and implementation.
So I'm stepping in for Chris again. So you guys, he gave you a brief on the dark fiber implementation. Once again, I believe, and I don't know, Vice Chair Rowland, if he actually talked to you or not, or I know there was at least some emails correspondence between you and Chris. I don't know if all your answers were questioned or questions were answered or not.
Yeah, I don't think I have any of the information on alternatives to this proposal, so I don't know. I definitely would like to get that information before I make a decision, but I can go into it more after you introduce what's going on here.
So where we are right now is based on what Chris presented to the board at the last meeting. Dark fiber, which is I think everybody knows what that is from what Chris explained at the last meeting. It's a connecting our station with the colo or the 911 center, and it's a direct line. All those other pieces go along with it. And so what Chris is looking for is currently the provider, Astound Business Solutions. We're able to get fiber at all our stations except for station 12. And we don't know when station 12 or if station 12 will be able to do that just based on the infrastructure that's currently in place. And what we're looking for is for approval to for the chief to sign the proposal that's in the packet for us to move forward on putting dark fiber at all the stations except for station 12. With that, I'll pause.
Vice Chair Rowland.
So I'll make my comments hopefully brief and not too technical. I really would like to see what the alternatives are for this. This is going to result in a pretty substantial increase to the cost for the service for internet and connectivity to the stations, number one. And number two is I believe that this is based off the fact that our current service has some reliability issues, which I completely understand wanting to get on something more reliable. Though after per our last presentation with Chris, I believe the plan is to have a fiber connection, but then also have a guest internet connection for guest internet at the firehouses, that be used as backup in case the fiber goes down. What a lot of businesses end up doing is doing two commercial lines, not doing dedicated lines because they cost so much more, and doing what's called VPN tunneling, which is a secure, a tunnel that is encrypted that goes over the internet, but is still same security level. I wouldn't say same security level, but it is, a secure way of communications that most businesses use. What I don't understand here and what I'd like to see is the alternative to having a fiber and then a backup of a commercial, ISP service is having two commercial ISP services and having failover redundancy there, where if one does go down, the other one stays up. Because that's what we're going to assume here is that the fiber, our primary one, isn't going to go down. And if it does, the other one will be up. To fall over to in case there's a break in a line or something like that. Somebody with a backhoe gets crazy and they go right through one of these fiber tubes that are under the ground or knock down a telephone pole if they're raised up, and you still have an outage. So I would like to understand what the alternative is to this from a commercial level, what the cost savings would be in that, and what the reliability would be between the two before we take action on going down this route, because I don't think that the scenario that he brought justifies the additional cost yet. Though that's where I don't have enough information on what the backup plan or the non-fiber plan would be.
So I know currently and I believe we're static IP with tunnels
Mhm.
And a VPN, I mean, I think that's how we're set up today. And so I don't have, and we didn't talk about the alternatives. Chris and I did not. And so I don't have that information for you guys tonight. That's something that, if the board so chooses, we'll have to wait till Chris can come back and address that with the board. Either at the first meeting in, I would hope the first meeting in July, or at least the work session, as we move forward with it. I just don't have what that, I mean, I know what it would be is we do Comcast and you get some other, CenturyLink or somebody else to do that work. I think when we first started this, we had a T1 network that we were paying. I want to say 8 stations, T1 network, and we were paying $148 or $148,000 a year
Yeah.
before we switched to Comcast at the far reduced price, right?
Used to be very expensive.
Exactly. So I don't have the answer, Commissioner Rowland, on that specific topic. And if the board wants additional information with regards to that alternative, or what would the price point be if we did dual commercial lines, VPN tunneling and all that, Chris would have to do additional work and bring that back for you guys to get briefed on, for you to make the final decision. We'll bring that back to Chris, have a conversation with them, and if he's got enough time, the goal would be to bring it back to you the first meeting in July. If not, then we'd either bring it to the work session on the 11th or the last meeting in July, depending on what else is on the agenda. If that works, I guess I'll look at the chair and if that's the direction of the board, we'll clearly bring that back to Chris.
If we need a formal motion to postpone this, I can do so. Otherwise, if the board's comfortable with waiting on this one, I think that information would be helpful.
I think it would be good for a comparison, but I know that Commissioner Chan, you have your hand up, and then we'll go to Commissioner
I
Kenny.
just support, because I'm not an IT guy, so I rely on your judgment, and I like to see alternative. I don't think we need to motion, just.
Yeah, we're not pressed for time.
Right.
Let's answer the questions. Set it over to that first meeting in July. It's all good.
That was the concern I had, was that it looks like this is for 72 months. So if you were to authorize it tonight, that'd be what, 6 years? So I think a little more time would be good as well.
So we'll bring that back at a time appropriate when Chris can get you the answers or the information that you've asked for.
So basically, this would be listed as option A, and then option B would be the dual.
Yep, we'll bring an alternative. I mean, I think I know what you're asking for. We can explain to Chris, and I'm sure Chris can bring something, but I just want to make sure I don't come back too soon. I want to give him enough time to actually do the homework that he's doing to do that too.
Understood.
So we'll hopefully bring it back, before the meeting in July would be my hope, but we'll see what Chris has got going to make sure we bring the right information and complete information.
Quick question. Are the current contracts for internet service an annual or a longer renewal? And is that coming up very soon and there's a pressing need to figure it out or get locked in for another year?
So I'm going to ask Brian, do you know Brian?
Okay.
Mid-20.
I didn't get it.
2024.
Okay. So we have
2024.
time before this would even be implemented or switched over to. Okay.
Yeah, I think when Chris talked to us at the last meeting, he talked about having that redundancy until then, because it will take time for Astound to actually get everything set up. And if we delay it, I thought he said we could go if we had a station that needed to go a little longer, we could go month to month until so I think we have time. We're not under that kind of a time frame.
Thank you.
Thank you. On to item 8F, carpet replacement at headquarters for approval with DC Curtis. AC Eastman, you gonna take this one as
Yeah,
well?
I gave James the night off. So this is in the budget, carpet replacement for the carpet here at headquarters. It's going to be, my understanding, it's going to be squares. So we can replace one square and not a whole room. And because of the cost, it's budgeted. But because of the dollar amount, we need to come for the board's approval. So I know this is the first time you've heard it. But I guess we're asking if you would consider this and approve this tonight so we can get moving forward and get the carpet replaced here at headquarters.
My only question is this for this floor or is this for this floor and the basement?
Just this floor.
Okay.
How old is the carpet? Just
Jason, do
curious.
you know last time we did it?
1972.
It's 2007.
2007. Do we get it regularly cleaned and stuff like that? And it's just starting to wear off? Yeah, that's what I
I think it gets cleaned twice a year,
Oh.
but it's been, there's a lot of traffic that comes through here. So it's due. And I think the other piece, it's time to move. And I think they're going with the squares.
Mhm.
So we can have, if we have a stain, we take out one square and put in a new square rather than live with it like we have been as a result.
Yeah, and I'm sure the other areas of the building get more traffic sometimes in this room, so we may not see it as much.
Honestly, I thought it was holding up pretty good since 1972, but
It would be shag, I think, at that point. Yeah.
all right. Any further discussion?
We need a motion.
Yes, please.
I'll move that we approve the carpet replacement.
Second.
The friendly amendment for the contract for $103,372.
Yeah, with great floors. Sure. Yes.
Okay. It's been moved by Commissioner Kenny and seconded by Commissioner Farnahoff. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just one more question. It appears that normally this would go through competitive bidding, but we're doing this piggybacking. Is that because we do not expect any competitive bids to be close to the value of this kind of agreement that we already have? Or what's the reason that we're deciding to do this the quick way instead of actually getting it bid out?
So this was, I gotta look at what they did.
Seems like it's based off of interlocal agreement through Washington DES.
Right, so we did it to the state, so they have a, and Chris, help me if I get this wrong. But they have the state does this. And it puts on a roster of its own that it's already been bid. And realizing that when we do, we have to pay prevailing wage and all those other pieces that go along with it. And so often, with these kind of processes, the state does that work, and then we piggyback and we have an agreement that we can use the state's process, and we use the state. So it's something we do, and we do it when we can.
How often have we decided to get competitive bids over that and found that there's anything better?
I can't answer that. I actually
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean, just in terms of reducing the administrative burden of the purchasing process, if we can piggyback, we usually do. I think that there's probably some analysis out there that would support what you're describing. Generally, when folks propose or businesses propose on these large contracts with DES, they know they're going to get a lot of business from it, and they're extremely competitive. So I think in most cases, this is a better deal than we would get if we put out our own RFP. But we can search around and see if we can find some data on that would actually where we might have got a better deal, or somebody got a better deal than they would with one of these cooperative agreements. But I'm not sure if it exists. So.
Yeah, having worked with state contracts that have single bidders or single providers, or even in this case, kind of a preferred program, there's often a razor thin margin, and they rely on the volume to make up the difference. But without actually seeing the details, we don't know that, and the ability to use maybe local businesses and help keep some of the money here locally in our county might be beneficial. That's just my thoughts. I don't know how fast you guys were looking at moving on this, or if you guys, in your experience, think that would be a kind of a lot of work for little value.
Well, and for us, we have to, in order to piggyback on any of these contracts, they have to have satisfied all of our purchasing requirements and all the state's requirements. So they do have multiple bidders. They bid projects, they're similar to ours and similar specs and stuff. So they are very, very similar. And to your point, they know they're going to generate a lot of business from this, and it's very competitive, more so than just maybe one job. So we would expect to get a better result from these contracts, but I'm not sure if there's any data to support that.
Okay, I don't know how the other commissioners feel, but I'll leave it to the group to decide which direction to go.
Commissioner Chan, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think that's basically I share the concern you have, but however, usually what I'm saying is that a lot of, because we piggy right on those contracts, usually that contractor get a lot of business. So I do want to see that with the locally, get about the local economy, but I think it's up to staff judgment and all that.
Commissioner Lawrence, you have your hand up.
Well, not really. I was like, we've discussed it. Now can we vote?
Any further discussion? All right, there's a motion on the floor to accept the contract as it is for $103,372, the Great Floors Commercial Sales out of Kent. All those in favor, since we have a motion on the floor, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
We are on to committee updates. Finance Committee with Commissioner Chan.
Yeah, Chief Bothwell came in begging me to cancel one for the July meeting. Well, actually, he's not on vacation, but he got a lot of work to do, so we're gonna cancel the July meeting.
All right, thank you. Intergovernmental with Commissioner Fahrenhoff. Do you have anything to add beyond the county council discussion and fireworks today?
No updates at this time. Thank you.
And Snow 911, I don't have any updates as well. So we are on to commissioner comments. Commissioners. All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Oh, wait, we have a couple of events coming up. We have 4th of July is coming up on Tuesday. And so we've moved our meeting to Wednesday, the 5th. And then we have dish with the commission the following Tuesday. The following Tuesday on the 11th. And then we have a list of events here on page 105 of 106, basically the last page of the packet. Yes.
There's one change to the Tour de Terrace parade. It is now on Friday and everybody should have received it.
That's right. Which Friday?
The first item on page. Saturday.
So it'll be Friday, July 21st. Okay. Thank you for that. Commissioner Chan, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just forgot. I've been appointed as on the education committee of the WFC, the Washington Fire Commissioner meeting. We will decide on the educations in the on the seminars and the rest of them. I've been trying to get more beneficial more to the larger larger fire district, RFA, I guess, like finance and labor negotiations and all that stuff. So if any one of you think about something that we really need the education, let me know. The committee meetings in July. And also that this year we're going up in Tulalip. So I hope every single one of us, commissioner, can join. And that's where educational. So let me know any other think of.
Thank you. All right. Nothing else. It is 8:18 and I go ahead and adjourn the meeting.